in one type of rhythm. I specialize in one type of rhythm. One type of rhythm in one type of rhythm. I specialize one type of rhythm. One type of rhythm.
Black Lives Matter. Why do we say that? Not matter, but why do we say black? It's been a year or more so since the murder of George Floyd. That spawned protests not only in the US but all around the world. From Brazil to London to Amsterdam to Paris to Stockholm. So who reacted? Black people. And why do we call ourselves black? We were created by the Middle Passage. Before the Middle Passage, before slavery, well, before colonialism, we were just different tribes, different peoples. But taken from Africa to the New World, we became black. So black people, that's what, people of African descent became on the auction blocks. And people were taken from all over the continent, but especially the Western shores, of course, to present-day Jamaica, Cuba, Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, the US, of course, even Canada. So Black Lives Matter is obviously not only a thing that affects US. The same structures, the same traditions, and the same ancestry and the same legacy of slavery exists in all of the New World. And it changed not only the New World, but obviously also Africa and Europe. Black people are in Europe and in the New World because of this historical legacy. Black people were the first people to be exposed to modernity. That is, to live under totally new conditions, uprooted forcefully from their original surroundings, and producing goods for sale on a world market, pitted together tens of thousands at the same plantation. And in that, they were stripped of their culture, or rather, the slave owners attempted to strip them of their culture. So in that way, remembering one's culture, one's music, religion, faith, ideas, etc., was an act of defiance. And that is where a lot of black culture today comes from. Malcolm X once quipped that black people didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on black people. And another way of putting it is that, again, black people were tossed into harsh, brutal, and modern conditions. And in this situation, to try to just keep all that had been taken from black people, all that they were separated from, that was a way or a means of survival. And this was done in various ways, not only physically, but psychologically, of stripping people of their culture through regimes of terror. So the living conditions were a bit varied from country to country. In the Spanish and French colonies mainly, and to a certain extent the Portuguese as well, there was some more elements of liberty, or rather, black people could still go on practicing their religions if they accepted Catholicism as the sort of overarching religion. And this created a kind of camouflage technique where a lot of the orishas from Yoruba tradition, deities, they were revered and celebrated as if they were saints, sort of smuggled in. And this made it possible to keep a lot of traditions alive, camouflaging them. Whereas in Jamaica, for instance, which was a British colony, slave owners were heavily fined if any slave was found in possession of a drum, because the drums in itself were the biggest threat to stability. Slaves dispersed over a whole plantation could all act in unison just because of the beat, just because of rhythm. And yeah, rhythm is what lay behind a lot of rebellions. A lot of the Maroon communities, not only in Jamaica, but all over the Caribbean and northern parts of Latin America, were united through rhythm. So slaves and their descendants were hiding in plain sight while practicing African traditions and African musical forms and religions. What we have as called syncretic religions, such as Voodoo, Santeria, Candomblé, Obia, all of these are traceable back to West Africa, just as are the musical styles, batucada, samba, compas, mento, reggae, all these musical expressions, son montuno, and even salsa to a certain extent, they come from specifically Yoruba culture, but West African cultures in general. Black Lives Matter beyond the US. Black people all over the world share so many experiences of oppression, of police harassment, of violence, etc. So the outcries that ring out in the US have echoes all over the African diaspora because of the similar experiences. The common things we have in music are shared globally as well. And a lot of the things that we might see as, well, African are actually hybrids of influences from the New World and Africa. We have reggae from Gambia, we have funk from Nigeria, we have, rumba from Zaire, etc. So it's an ongoing dialogue, and that dialogue goes hand in hand with shared experiences and influences. I think when we look back to this at this time, this moment in time in history, we're going to see the Black Lives Movement globally as a kind of second wave of decolonization. Because Black people in so many countries are starting to rethink of their role in society and demand their rights in society. And just as with decolonization in the 50s and 60s and 70s, as with the civil rights movement in the 50s and 60s and the Black Power movement in the 60s and 70s, it has all given birth to so much musical forms and cultural expressions. And that is what we're seeing today, and that's something we have to celebrate. Just the richness of this, and also that we're breaking with isolation, with shame, and feeling a sense of pride and community.
Drop pass, can't come around, that's a mess with the
shows up as on the sang on where we pay for. Fit match the combat, but fit the ganja. And you get the ganja. I keep it now, I keep it ganja.
Ngeke kuze kulungele ukuthi inhlonipho phambili yazi kulesiko lwakithi sisebenzisa inhlonipho kakhulu. Yebo ndoda, ngiyabonga kakhulu.